Hey, thank you for joining us today. I have Todd with AutoElevate, everyone. So I just want to thank you for joining us. Todd, thank you for joining us as well, CharTec followers and myself. I'm excited to talk to you. There's some big news with AutoElevate that I'm excited to talk about. So first, I just want to go ahead and introduce you and let everybody know who you are. So as you guys know, I don't know if you've ever heard of AutoElevate. It's a really, really great password management tool. Todd is the CEO of AutoElevate, but Todd comes with other experience. He was also a CEO of an MSP. So he knows exactly what you guys need and why you need it and why you should use it, because he's been there, done that, and here he is now, making sure that he's providing a tool that he knows all MSPs need. Todd, how are you?
Good, Brandy. How are you?
Good, thank you. Well, thanks so much for
And
joining us. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
yeah, and so, little spoiler alert, you said password management tool, and actually we're a privilege management tool.
Privilege
But
management tool. See?
that's what the acquisition is about. Now, we had a majority acquisition. Am I supposed to talk about this yet, or do you want to officially ask the question?
let's keep them on the edge.
All right. So there
Well,
could
why don't
be
we
some
talk about
password
that?
management that happens.
So educate me, Todd, because obviously I didn't know how does password management and privilege management work together? I mean, we've got some things going on in the back end, right? And there is going to be two tools working together now, from what I understand. So it was password management. Let's hold off on the privilege management. Let's talk about the password management for a moment.
Well, I mean, password management is it's a fundamental thing for security, that something that managed service providers should manage. But historically don't do a great job with it. I mean, a lot of times they'll give their clients and say, hey, you should be using a password management tool like LastPass or Keeper or Password One or something, and
Mm-hmm.
here's some options, go find one and install it and hopefully use it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is that they have no insight into whether they are using it, which ones they're using. They don't have the ability to kind of oversee or manage it, know if the user are using it the way they should, if they're handling their passwords. So the problem is with passwords is that it's one of the keys to security. Everything has passwords, right?
Absolutely.
And the problem is that users have, all of us, let's be realistic, all of us have had bad password hygiene in our past, or maybe currently have bad password hygiene. They use the same passwords for everything, use ones that aren't complex enough, ones that maybe have been compromised by, they've used a password multiple accounts, and some tool or service they use have been compromised and they're out there. So lots of different things with that, that managed service providers really should be managing, and not just allowing their users kind of figure it out themselves. And that's the importance of password management. Is it's a key to keeping the endpoint secure. The great thing about that is that the acquisition that happened, we now have a great multi-tenant MSP based centric password tool that is really kind of one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is privilege management, because they're both the kind of two sides to the same coin. Both really important, both fundamentals, but typically not managed very well by IT. And so, managed service providers should manage passwords and they should manage privilege. It's really
So
important.
let me give you a scenario, and you tell me how the MSP should combat this scenario. So they have a business. They have a client who's a business, obviously, and they have obviously employees who have access to passwords for various platforms, right? Let's just say one of those employees they quit, they get fired, they get laid off, whatever the case may be. What would be, I would assume the scenario with most businesses is that they have to go in and change the password to everything across the board when an employee leaves. Otherwise, is that something that if the MSP had AutoElevate as the tool, would that help? the business?
So the AutoElevate side of the equation is for privilege management, and then
Okay.
the acquisition that was made, the majority acquisition of AutoElevate was Password Boss. And so the both
Oh.
will operate independently as separate products and separate services, separate companies, but
Mhm.
we're very much closely related now, kind of have an alignment of vision and ownership. And we're going to be adding some things to the mix as well and some integrations. But in answer to your question on, yeah, passwords can be messy. I mean, think about this, Brandy, from the standpoint of, an employee, a company, an end user company might have passwords that they've saved in their browser or might have passwords that they've saved in their password tool that are both work related or personal.
Mhm.
Now take that one step further. What happens when the employee leaves and now other employees that are current employees need access to certain systems that they had passwords to, but shouldn't have access to their personal stuff that they
Mhm.
save passwords to, and what happens with that.
Mhm.
So there's some issues there that start to become kind of messy and complex,
Mhm.
which is why it's hard to manage. Or what happens when you need to share a password, um, or to a site or service without necessarily revealing what the password is, or having people write it down or copy it or misuse it. So these are some of the things that can be done with the password management tool like Password Boss.
Mm.
You can ensure a managed service provider can ensure that their clients are, first of all, utilizing and making good passwords, have good password hygiene, generate passwords that are randomized, that are long enough, complex enough. And then they can also help their end users and companies share those passwords and utilize them in a lot smarter way, so that which ultimately makes them much more secure.
Right.
So does that
So,
hopefully
so the
answer?
cat's out of the bag.
Yeah,
I kind of messed that up. That's okay though.
that's right. We got there in a roundabout way. We were, taking a scenic route around. That was nice, though.
So guys, check it out. It looks like Password Boss has completed acquisition of AutoElevate. There's the secret. Not a secret no more. so so that's really, really great news, Todd. Now does that still is it still the same management, or is that, or is what does that look like as far as the infrastructure goes?
Yeah. So the dev teams are still separate. The products are still separate because there are some reasons why we would continue to keep those separate, even from a security standpoint. Kind of eggs in one basket kind of mindset or methodology of, you don't want to hold, and manage all the passwords and the privilege as well. There is some security reasons why you would also keep them separate.
Mhm.
But we're utilizing some shared resources as well. HR, accounting, sales and marketing resources
All
are
right.
combined. So there's some things that we're utilizing shared resources on. Other things will really, as far as development, product, and support, those things remain separate, and are two separate products. So. But yeah, and as far as the products are concerned, we will be making and doing some interesting things with integrations that, if you have both products, will make them both that much nicer, because they'll do things together that make life easier and better. So,
Give me an example of how they work together.
well, there's, as an example, I mean, Password Boss is a tool that helps generate and keep track of passwords for all different sorts of things, uh, web services. One of the nice things about it, compared to some of the other password tools, is that they are a native app on the desktop, so that they can also work with other native applications as well, that run on the computer, not just web things like maybe some of the other ones that are browser-based extensions. But that being said, you also then kind of come into play where it's also passwords to Windows systems and servers. And, obviously there's tools out there that are document management or storage systems, or places where you can store different bits of information. But those systems really aren't tuned to specifically handle and manage passwords, where Password Boss really is. That being said, we kind of work together. I'm the long-winded explanation. I realize it now as I'm listening to myself and seeing you nod your head. But where we meet together is that AutoElevate also deals with local admin privileges and local admin accounts. So we're going to be doing some interesting things there that will kind of run the gamut of admin accounts on Windows systems and servers and applications and browsers and everything kind of tied together so that you can randomize and control and monitor and audit and take care of passwords in the whole spectrum for your clients, not just one particular thing like browser-based things or applications or even on Windows systems. So there's going to be some interesting things there. And of course, what we're focused on at AutoElevate is privileged accounts, admin accounts on local systems. So that's kind of where we kind of tend to meet with what Password Boss is doing, is in those local accounts, which again is a real challenge for managed service providers because there's the need to randomize those accounts and control the use of and track the use of anything that has privilege because of what can be done with those. So
right,
from a security aspect.
How much time would you say it would save an MSP for utilizing these tools?
Well, I know, and again, I'm not an absolute expert on the whole Password Boss tool yet. I mean, we obviously know a lot about it, but I'm not like the absolute end-all be-all expert on Password Boss. So I can speak directly to AutoElevate for sure. A lot of our managed service providers, the goal with AutoElevate is to reduce privilege down to standard privileges. And the ones that say it can reduce their ticket count 60 to 65%. So it translates down to a lot of time. We have an ROI tool in our dashboard that will calculate the amount of time savings. And it's usually, a lot of times it can be hundreds of hours a month that utilizing the tool saves. It's significant.
That's a lot of money.
Now, on the password side of it, the Password Boss side of it, it also saves time because, it's, all the different time during the day that maybe technicians look up passwords and try passwords and, retry passwords to get the right one and enter them incorrectly and all those things. It makes having a password manager makes it a lot more convenient and fast and just kind of everything you do during the day faster and quicker, but also more secure. So it's that one to me, they probably have some quantifiable numbers on that. I don't have it, but I just know that, man, if you're using a tool like Password Boss, which we are, it just makes your whole day easier. And for your clients too, that's the beautiful thing is that in both cases, both tools are not only fundamental things that you should be managing as a managed service provider, but they're also both things that it really makes your users' lives easier as well. This makes their daily tasks, the things they do, easier and smoother and better, which also then translates to the fact that it makes it easier to sell. It makes it easier they are willing to pay for, having the tools in place it's a profit center and can be a great thing for managed service providers to offer into their stack because they can make money on it. Because it makes a real difference to the end users. So
right. There you have it, guys. Go sign up. It's going to help a lot. So now we've got we've crossed the bridge of the acquisition, and that's really, really exciting news, Todd. Where, from what I understand, you're also going to be holding consistent webinars for demoing the product, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm now in an official cadence of 2 different live group webinars, demos, two a week. So for AutoElevate, it's Wednesdays and Fridays. Password Boss also does them on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
And
when they hit that link that's posted there, it's going to take them to the schedule.
Yeah, for AutoElevate, for the AutoElevate side of it, which is AutoElevate.com/webinars.
Webinars.
There's an equivalent to that on Password Boss's site as well, passwordboss.com webinars.
Okay, cool. And hey guys, I just want to remind everybody who's watching, please feel free to ask questions. We'll be here to answer them. We won't answer them obviously right now, but we'll definitely get to them. So don't hesitate to put a question down, and we'll definitely respond to that. And then of course I'll add Todd's contact information here as well. Another question I had for you, Todd, that just came to me. A lot of partners are looking at their security stack, especially with everything that's happening right now. I mean, obviously it's Cybersecurity Month, so that's a huge topic at this time. Why should they be looking at Password Boss and AutoElevate to add to their stack?
Well, I mean, both things are not like super, I guess they're not like super sexy or exciting. Like,
Oh, is anything in
passwords
IT
for
sexy and
privilege,
exciting?
yeah,
Come on, Todd, let's
what
keep it
things in
real.
IT are, right? Yeah, exactly. Touche. So, but I mean, the thing is that they're both very basic, fundamental things, but both things, if they're not handled correctly, will undermine all the other things you're doing. So if your users have very poor password hygiene and poor passwords, and they are putting awful passwords into everything, you're going to have a problem as a managed service provider securing them. Same with privilege. If they're using privileged accounts, they're local admins. You again, if they take the wrong click or go to the wrong site or do the wrong thing, it can undermine all the other security things you have in place, your firewall, your endpoint security client, other tools that you may have purchased and configured and put in place to help protect them from things going sideways and bad. If you don't get passwords and privilege right, the other things are very vulnerable and susceptible to compromise. So again, just basic things, but that's really what we should be doing really good with, right? That we need to nail things that are basic and standard and fundamental. There's other things that should be done as well in security. It's not just, as you know, it's not just one thing. There's no silver bullet of anything like, hey, I get this one product or do this one thing, I'm going to be all good. But passwords and privilege are just huge ingredients in that mix that if you ignore them, other things you're doing are going to be undermined and still vulnerable and still a problem. So
absolutely. Well, I think that's a really great reason for them. I mean, it's so important these days to have the ability as an MSP. So I think you bring a very valuable asset to an MSP's security stack. So I thank you for being here and discussing that with us, because knowledge is power, right? And if these guys don't know what's out there and what's going on, and we're not putting it out there for them, then they're going to be stuck out there not having real great solutions to offer to their businesses and their clients. So thank you again for sharing with us.
And thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's one of those things that, really and truly, most end clients don't use management of passwords or privilege. They have other systems. They have backup systems and firewalls and wireless and all these other things. There's an opportunity. Actually, it's a largely untapped area that does need to be managed correctly, and that there's opportunity to make money at. So it's just, you need to have the right tools to do a good job at it. So,
and from what I know, your the cost for this is not great, and I'm not going to release that information. I think they need to contact you and find out, because that should be something they should look into, because it's very competitive. Did you just throw it out there?
Well, it's a great value and is very competitively priced. It is. These were MSP born products, so as you know, I totally understand from the MSP side of the table. I totally get the challenges of the things you have to have in your tool stack and the cost and all the other things that go with it. But these really have a lot of value and they aren't a vast fortune. We'll just say that. And there's really no excuse. So we priced it so there's no excuse. So
no excuses.
But yeah, reach out to us and we'll give you all the details based on your you're
And,
specific.
speaking of no excuses, there's no excuses to not register for our upcoming December Academy. It's December
I
8th and
agree.
9th. It's virtual. I mean, there are no excuses. So I have included that link as well. So you have the link to go view Todd AutoElevate's webinars for the demo, and then you have the link to register for our upcoming Academy December 8th and 9th. And Todd, you will be there as well. So
Yes.
you guys better register. Come on. All right. So, Todd, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I really appreciate you being here with me. And guys, as you watch this, please feel free to continue to comment and ask your questions. Todd and I will go ahead and tag each other on at getting those questions answered for you. All right. And I appreciate you being here and watching. And stay tuned for our upcoming newsletter and Academy. Lots of great things happening. Todd, thank you so much for being here with me. I know that your time is very valuable, so I appreciate
Well,
that.
I'm always happy to be here with you, Brandy. Thanks.
Thank you.